Imagine the moment you discover that the person you love, the one you once trusted completely, has betrayed you. The shock shatters your heart, your breath catches, and the whole world seems to collapse in an instant. But when that person is a narcissist, the pain doesn't stop at betrayal. It etches itself deep into your memory like a scar that never fades. For a narcissist, infidelity is not about a lack of love, nor is it a fleeting moment of weakness. It is a weapon to affirm their distorted ego, a way to prove they can control, manipulate, and make you question your own worth. They are not seeking love, they are seeking supply. And betrayal becomes a game of power, where you are unwillingly reduced to a pawn. So how will you react when faced with such a raw truth? Will you drown in sorrow, explode with rage, or feel so disoriented that you no longer know what is real? More important than any reaction is this: do you have the strength to rise, to protect your heart from even deeper wounds? In today's video, we will uncover the truth behind a narcissist's betrayal, why they cheat, how they respond when caught, and most importantly, what you must do not only to survive, but to rise stronger after the storm. If you are in the midst of this or have already walked through it, stay until the end of this video, because what you need right now is not only explanation, but also the reassurance that you are not alone. Remember this: their betrayal does not define your value, and your healing journey begins the very moment you dare to face the truth. Part 1. Understanding the nature of a narcissist's betrayal. Betrayal for ordinary people often stems from gaps, a moment of weakness, a lapse in communication, an emotional absence that neither side managed to fill in time. While it cannot be justified, at least within it there is still a trace of humanity, a weakness, a confusion. But when betrayal comes from a narcissist, it is no longer a gap, it is a strategy. It is a weapon. It is a game they deliberately create to feed a distorted ego that never knows what enough feels like. What hurts the most in a narcissist betrayal is not the act of infidelity itself, but the realization that you never truly had their heart. For a narcissist, love is only a mask, a means to extract what they crave: admiration, submission, and endless feeding of a starving ego. In their eyes, you are not a lover, much less a soulmate. You are supply, a well of energy to drain, a mirror to reflect their false greatness. At a deeper psychological level, their betrayal is not about physical pleasure. It is an affirmation that says, I have the right, I deserve more, I can do anything I want, and no one can touch me. Each time they succeed in deceiving you, each time they blindfold you with lies, they experience a sweet high. It is not an addiction to people, it is an addiction to power, to the sensation of control. For a narcissist, cheating is like a chessboard. Each piece is a relationship, a supply source. They move, calculate, set traps, and then throw in smokescreens to keep you from ever being sure of what is happening. They enjoy your confusion, because when you are disoriented, you are easier to control. They enjoy your self-doubt, because when you doubt yourself, you stop questioning them. And they enjoy your pain, because your suffering is proof that they still matter, that their power still holds sway. If you have ever asked yourself, why did he divided by she do this to me? I gave my all. The answer lies in their very nature. A narcissist does not live in the same psychological world as you. In your world, love comes with loyalty. In your world, betrayal leaves cracks in the conscience. But in their world, love is a tool, loyalty is a chain, and betrayal is proof of freedom. They label their cruelty as the right to live authentically, when in reality it is only an escape from the void inside them. Many only realize after the fact. A narcissist's betrayal is never just once. It is a cycle, a repetition. Whenever the thrill fades, whenever the current supply is no longer exciting enough, they seek out another stage to play on. Like an addict whose dose no longer hits as hard, they increase the dosage, seeking new stimulation to maintain the feeling of power. And the tragedy for you is this: You are merely one stop in that endless cycle, no more, no less. A cold truth remains. Narcissists never truly feel guilty about betrayal. They may pretend to repent, they may cry and beg, but in the depths of their being there is no remorse. In the warped mirror of their ego, they are the center of the universe. You may ache, you may break, but that will not keep them awake at night. The only thing that unsettles them is being caught when the risk of losing control becomes too obvious. What they fear is not hurting you, it is losing a familiar supply. Strip away all disguises, and you see clearly. Betrayal, for the narcissist, is not an accident. It is their essence. Their ego is like a cosmic black hole, devouring everything, yet never full. They may have you and others, even a long line of replacements, yet still feel empty. That emptiness ensures they never stop. And that same emptiness ensures that no matter how deeply you love, you will never be enough. The philosopher Kierkegaard once said, "Despair is the sickness unto death." A narcissist is a despairing soul wearing human skin. They are so desperate that they must betray again and again, endlessly chasing new admiration to cover up the truth. Inside them lies only an infinite void. But you, the one who stumbles into their orbit, are the one who pays the price, with tears, sleepless nights, and self-doubt. So when you look at a narcissist's betrayal, see it for what it truly is. Not proof of your inadequacy, but a mirror reflecting their emptiness. They betray not because you lack, but because betrayal is the only way they know how to exist. They betray because to them, love is not connection, it is conquest. They betray because the darkness within them is too thick for honesty and loyalty to ever break through. That betrayal is the mask falling. It shows you the real person behind the promises, the sweet gestures, the late-night dreams of a shared future. And though it wounds deeply, it is also the cruel gift of truth. For only by seeing their true face can you realize that you deserve more, that you cannot and should not try to rescue a soul that has chosen to live by betrayal. The essence of narcissistic betrayal is this: a never-ending loop, a power game, a desperate flight from their own emptiness. You cannot win that game because the rules are designed for you to lose. But you can choose to walk away from the board, and that is the only victory and the greatest victory you can ever claim. Part 2. The natural reaction of a victim when discovering betrayal. When someone who loves with their whole heart discovers they've been betrayed, the first reaction is often not anger, it is an inner collapse. Your heart screams out a question with no answer. Why? That word echoes through your mind, tearing apart the peace you once held. And from that, why, a flood of other thoughts rushes in. What did I do wrong? Am I not enough? If I loved more, sacrificed more, would things have been different? This is the most insidious trap of narcissistic betrayal, because when you turn the blame on yourself, they have already won another round in their game of power. The pain lies not only in losing trust, but in beginning to doubt yourself. You transform the wound they inflicted into a verdict against your own worth. If we look closely, this natural reaction has 3 layers. First layer, shock. You freeze, feeling as if everything around you has disappeared. The person you trusted completely has suddenly become the betrayer. Your heart and your mind can no longer synchronize. The heart is shattered, while the mind resists believing what has happened. Second layer, confusion. You don't know what is real and what is a lie. A part of you still clings to promises, memories, nights when they whispered, "Only you." You think, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was just a mistake. But your intuition screams, this is the truth. The battle within begins. Third layer, self, blame. This is the most dangerous stage. Instead of directing anger toward the one who betrayed, you turn it inward. You search your memories for faults. Was I too cold, too harsh, or maybe too soft? You torment yourself and unknowingly become an accomplice in your own wound. Narcissists know these layers well. They even exploit them to manipulate further. When you're in shock, they deny. When you're confused, they feed you half-truths to trap you in their web. When you blame yourself, they reinforce it with subtle jabs. I did it because you didn't give me enough attention. Each word is a knife that cuts deeper into the very place already in pain. What devastates you most is not the act of betrayal itself, it is the collapse of reality. You once built your world around that love, around that trust. Now that world crumbles, pulling you down with it. Psychoanalysts call this reality collapse. When the person you trusted most betrays you, you don't just lose them, you lose the sense of safety within yourself. There are nights you lie still as tears flow, asking, am I still worthy of love? Did I make some terrible mistake to deserve this? But the truth is simple, no. You are not wrong for loving. You are not wrong for trusting. You are not wrong for sacrificing. If there was a mistake, it was only this: giving your heart to someone incapable of truly loving. Many victims, after discovering betrayal, fall into two extremes: clinging, hoping love will change the narcissist, or hating, seeking revenge. Both extremes tie you back into the toxic cycle. When you cling, you give them more chances to exploit you. When you retaliate, you remain bound to their energy. And the narcissist who feeds on attention still wins, whether it's positive or negative. Reaction is natural, but healing begins only when you dare to place a full stop. Tell yourself, I hurt because I loved, but that love does not define my worth. Understand this. Betrayal is their nature, not proof of your inadequacy. You cannot stop them from seeking new supply, because that is their way of breathing, their way of existing. And if you keep trying to change them, you will only drain yourself further. There is a paradox. The more sincerely you love, the more betrayal hurts you. But precisely because you know how to love, you also have the capacity to be reborn. Narcissists betray because they do not know how to love. You hurt because you do. And your pain, though searing, is proof that you remain fully human, still capable of healing. So allow yourself to cry, to rage, to feel confused. These are not weaknesses. They are part of the detox process. Tears do not make you small. They wash away illusions. Anger does not make you bad. It reminds you that your boundaries were crossed. Confusion does not make you foolish. It only proves your mind is searching for ground again. The important thing is not to remain there. After shock, confusion, and self-blame, step into the next stage, awakening. Awaken to the fact that they did not betray because you lacked anything, but because they cannot be loyal. Awaken to the truth that you deserve a love not tainted by power games. Awaken to the reality that leaving is not failure. It is the only victory possible. You cannot control the narcissist, but you can control how you respond. And that is where your true strength begins. Part 3. The tactics narcissists use when caught cheating. When a narcissist is caught cheating, you might think this is the moment truth will prevail, that conscience will make them bow their head, that an honest apology will finally be spoken. But you'll quickly realize that is only the hope of your sincere heart, a heart that still believes every human being, however twisted, keeps a little kindness at the bottom. Sadly, in a narcissist, kindness does not exist. When the truth is exposed, they don't see a mistake. They see a threat to their power. For them, being caught is not, I betrayed. It is, I'm about to lose control. And to keep the thing they crave most control, they will immediately unleash a series of maneuvers. The first tactic, almost instinctive, is denial. They can look straight at irrefutable evidence, the clear text messages, the photos capturing the betrayal, and still say, you misunderstood. This is not courage. It is the numbness of an ego trained to live on lies. Denial lets them stay on the front foot, because in the moment you pause and wonder, did I see it wrong? They've already won another round. They don't need you to believe completely. They just need to plant a tiny seed of doubt, and that seed will quickly take root, confusing you, weakening you. To them, that is enough. If denial doesn't shake you, they shift to another strategy, flipping the script. They won't just deny, they'll make you the one at fault. You'll hear accusations veiled in sighs. I did it because you've neglected me too long. You don't care like you used to. You always think only of yourself. You're too suspicious, too controlling, too cold. Behind every line is the same cruel message. I cheated because you're not enough. And if you're already used to living in a loop of self-blame, you'll easily believe this indictment. This is the narcissist's masterstroke, making the victim hurt not only from betrayal, but from believing they deserved it. Not every narcissist chooses such a frontal assault. Some, smarter or more dangerous, opt for theater. They cry, they tremble, they collapse as if the world has fallen apart because you lost trust. In a choked voice they say, I was wrong, please forgive me. I don't know why I did it. I can't live without you. Tears fall, hands shake, eyes brim with sorrow. The scene feels perfectly staged. If you have a kind heart, you'll easily take this as genuine remorse. But remember, for narcissists, emotion is only a tool. Those tears do not flow from conscience, but from an instinct to manipulate. They're not crying for you. They are crying over the fear of losing you, or more precisely, losing the supply you provide. And when none of these tactics work, the mask drops. This is when you see the rawest truth, the ferocity of an ego cornered. They explode, they shout, they mock, even dare you, fine, I did it. So what? If you can't handle it, just leave. The cold stare, the smirk, the contemptuous tone, everything reveals the essence. A person who does not know love, only possession. Anger here is not a sign of sorrow. It is the eruption that comes when their control is threatened. Look closely at the whole picture. Whether they deny, blame, perform, or rage, the goal is the same: evade responsibility and preserve power. An ordinary person, when caught, may feel shame, may tremble from a pricked conscience. A narcissist does not feel shame. In their warped mind, admitting fault equals defeat. Every tactic serves to protect a fragile ego wrapped in arrogance. You must understand this so you don't fall for the illusion that one day they will be truly remorseful. Narcissists do not feel remorse the way you understand it. The only thing they regret is losing power, losing supply. When they cry for their threatened ego, not for your wounded heart. When they rage because truth has exposed the mask, not because they grieve the pain they caused the one they love. And the moment you grasp this truth, a new door opens. You stop expecting a sincere apology. You stop hoping that betrayal will change them. You understand that for a narcissist, truth is never the end point, only the beginning of a new act. Your only real choice is not to decipher their script, but to leave the stage. The betrayal was enough to break you. But their reaction after being exposed is the clearest warning of who they truly are. No more sweet promises, no more evenings filled with glittering futures. What remains is darkness, truth, the stark, naked face. A narcissist has never known love, they only know performance. And once you see this, you've taken a giant step toward escaping the toxic spiral that bound you for so long. Part 4. Why narcissists are never faithful. Let's start with a harsh truth. A narcissist does not see you as a person, but as supply. You are a mirror reflecting their value, a container of energy to be drained. When you love, admire, praise, and comply, they feel like royalty. But precisely because of this, whenever the admiration dips or the compliance wavers, they immediately feel a lack, not enough. To fill that lack, they seek another source of supply. Inside a narcissist's chaotic inner world, there is no peace. Their ego swells like a black hole, swallowing everything yet never full. They might have you, a family, someone willing to sacrifice everything. But after a while, boredom sets in. They confuse steady love with confinement. They confuse peace with dullness. So they rush into new relationships like a moth to flame just to taste the initial high again. The truth is, narcissists are addicted to the feeling of conquest. For them, the moment a stranger falls, the moment a new pair of eyes admires them, the surge of power rising, this is the strongest drug. But like all addictions, the first dose is always the sweetest. After that, the high fades. The new relationship becomes familiar. Then they need more, And so they hop from person to person, chasing a sensation they can never hold for long. Watch them in the act of betrayal. They aren't just seeking another body, they're seeking a new stage. They replay the role of perfect lover, cue the soundtrack of I Will Love You Forever, dispense the same sweet promises, the very ones that once captivated you. This time the audience is someone new. And when the show ends, they exit, leaving another shattered heart behind. To them, this isn't sin, it's a cycle. People often ask, is there any way to make a narcissist faithful? The blunt answer is no. Fidelity requires two qualities they never possess: gratitude and empathy. The faithful stay because they appreciate the love they receive, because they understand the other person feels and can be hurt. Narcissists lack both. They are ungrateful because in their mind everything you do is a duty. They lack empathy because they cannot feel your pain. Without these foundations, how can loyalty be expected? At times you may see them behave. They make promises, act devoted, even cut off an affair. Don't be fooled. That's not fidelity, it's strategy. They do it when the risk of losing you is too high, when the primary supply is slipping away. Once you return, once they're sure you're back under control, the cycle of betrayal resumes. Essence doesn't change, it merely hides under pressure. Saying a narcissist is never faithful refers not only to the body but also to the spirit. Even when not physically cheating, they betray you with lies, mind games, and put-downs that lift themselves up. This lack of loyalty seeps into every behavior, every glance, every cold silence. They may sit beside you, but their heart is already wandering, hunting for a new gaze of admiration. The greatest tragedy is this: you can love them with your whole heart, give everything, become the ideal partner, and they will still betray you. Not because you aren't enough, but because for them, no one will ever be enough. The emptiness inside is a bottomless pit. Pour in all the love you have, it disappears. Sacrifice everything, it never fills. Eventually you realize the problem was never you. It is that black hole, something no love can heal. Perhaps the most frightening part is not the betrayal itself, but the truth that they will repeat it endlessly. They betray not because of circumstances, but because of nature. Not for lack of love, but for lack of the ability to love. Once you see this clearly, you stop asking, how do I change them? And begin asking, how long do I want to keep enduring this? Fidelity, to you, is love at its highest expression. To a narcissist, betrayal is power at its highest expression. That is where two worlds meet and never reconcile. Part 5. What you should do when you discover a narcissist's betrayal. The first thing you must do is stay calm. When the truth explodes, emotions roar like a storm. You may want to scream, confront, smash things, or rush to demand explanations. But the more intensely you react, the deeper you fall into their trap. Narcissists relish seeing you lose control. In that moment, they can twist the story and blame you for being too sensitive, too crazy. Instead of feeding them your energy, breathe deeply, hold necessary silence, and observe. Calm is not weakness. It is you refusing to give them another win in their power game. Next, see the betrayal for what it is. Don't romanticize it as just a one-time mistake, or he divided by she will change. As we've discussed, for narcissists, betrayal isn't an accident, it's their nature. If they betray once, they will betray again. If they lie today, they will keep lying tomorrow. Accepting this truth is the first step to freeing yourself from illusion. After that, set clear boundaries. One of the biggest mistakes victims make is giving a narcissist one more chance. Every chance you grant is not forgiveness. It's an invitation for further harm. Tell yourself clearly, I will not accept being degraded, betrayed, or disrespected. Boundaries are not mere statements. They are actions. They can mean cutting contact, stopping all explanations, or leaving when necessary. Of course, leaving a narcissist is never easy. They will beg, promise, cry, even threaten. Remember, none of these reactions come from love. They come from fear of losing control. Don't drown in their theater. Instead of asking, do they really love me? Ask, How long do I want to live in this lie? At this stage, seeking support is crucial. After betrayal by a narcissist, you may feel isolated. They've planted doubt in your mind and made you believe no one will believe you. Open up to trusted family, reliable friends, or a therapist. Sharing your story not only lets you be heard, it reminds you that you are not alone. Only with a support system can you gather the strength to break through their web of manipulation. Another vital point: do not blame yourself. This is the most common reaction and the most dangerous mistake. You may think, I wasn't good enough. I deserve this. The truth: betrayal is their choice, not the result of your shortcomings. You could be perfect and they would still betray, because the black hole inside them never fills. Self-blame only makes it easier for them to manipulate you back. If, after everything, you decide to leave, remember, no contact is the most powerful method. As long as there is connection, they have a path back in a chance to rewrite the story and deceive you again. Cutting contact is not hatred, it is protection. It is you ending a toxic loop to begin a new chapter for yourself. Still, be prepared. A narcissist rarely lets go easily. They may reach out, text, call, feign remorse, or create new theatrics to reel you back. This is called hoovering, sucking you back in like a vacuum. When it happens, remember that every return is simply the start of yet another loop of betrayal and lies. Don't let pity or sweet old memories drag you back into a prison. Most importantly, choose yourself. Ask, can I go on living in a relationship where loyalty and respect don't exist? If the answer is no, then however painful it is, leaving is the only path. You deserve honest love and a partner who cherishes and protects you. Healing is not about forgetting overnight. Healing is a journey. You will have days where memories make you cry, nights where you wonder, what if? Consider it part of detox. Every tear washes away another layer of illusion. Each day you stand firm, without making contact, is a day you reclaim power from them. Every small step is proof that you are returning to yourself. Discovering a narcissist's betrayal may be one of the most painful experiences of your life. Yet here is the paradox. It can also become your path to freedom. Only when truth is revealed do you gain enough reason to leave and enough strength to end the cycle. Do not fear the loss, because what you're losing was never truly love. What you are reclaiming is freedom, peace, and the capacity to love again, this time with someone worthy. Part 6. The narcissist tactics when you don't beg them to come back. In a narcissist's distorted psychology, you are never an autonomous person. To them, you are a side piece in a universe where they are the center. They believe you cannot live without them, that your love, sacrifice, and pain orbit only around them. So when they leave you for new supply, they stride off with confidence. In that warped mind, they expect you to crumble, soon begging them to return. It's a power fantasy, the arrogant belief that they are oxygen and you are gasping. What happens when that script fails? What happens when you don't cry, don't plead, don't debase yourself to cling to them? When you choose silence, choose to stand up, choose to protect your dignity and peace, that is when the narcissist begins to panic. In the moment you don't react, the power system they built starts to wobble. Your silence cuts off the supply they're used to draining. They expected weakness and met resolve. They expected tears and found calm. They expected begging and heard only a cold quiet. That quiet touches their deepest fear: losing control. When you don't beg, their first tactic is often to act nonchalant or even exuberantly happy. They flaunt the new supply, post feverish romance photos, and make sure you see them. They're crafting a script. Without me, you are nothing. I'm still radiant and happy. This is a psychological strike meant to stir your sense of loss and trigger jealousy. But behind the smile lies anxiety. Why isn't she suffering? Why isn't he pleading? Have I really lost power? If flaunting doesn't work, they move to tactic 2, probing. A casual text, a suggestive line. You doing okay? Or, I miss those times. They don't care about you. They're checking whether you're still pliable, whether you'll react. One reply, even a cold one, signals to them that you remain within reach. When you continue your silence and keep your boundaries, their script collapses again. If silence continues, they may escalate to tactic 3, smearing. If they can't make you beg, they'll try to tear you down. They spin warped stories to mutual friends, even to the new supply. She was always clingy. He was never good enough. Leaving was right. It's how they soothe the bruised ego. If you won't react, they'll recast you as the weak one to preserve the illusion of power. When smearing isn't enough, the narcissist enters the most dangerous phase, turning hostile and attacking. They may lash out, accuse, even threaten. In their skewed view, your refusal to beg is the ultimate insult. It shatters the grand belief that they are the universe's center. When that mirror of delusion breaks, what remains is raw rage. All these tactics share one truth. You have struck the narcissist's deepest fear. The fear of no longer being lord of your mind. The fear of losing control. The fear that they are not as important as they pretend to themselves. Remember, your strongest response is not arguing, explaining, or retaliating. Your strongest response is silence and consistency. That silence not only starves their supply, it declares clearly and without words, I am no longer a puppet in your game. I choose myself. I choose freedom. When you don't beg, you shatter the toxic loop. You send a wordless message that you see who they are, that you no longer fear losing them, that you are strong enough to walk on. For a narcissist, that is the ultimate defeat one no tactic can undo. Part 7. The replace-devalue return cycle. One of the most recognizable traits of a narcissist is their compulsive repetition. They don't know how to sustain, nurture, or cherish. They only know how to extract, devalue, and seek something new. That's why, in most of their relationships, you'll see a familiar spiral. Replace, devalue, return. And it never ends because it is their way of existing. Let's start with the first stage, replacement. A narcissist lives with a constant fear that the current supply won't be enough. No matter how much you love, admire, or sacrifice for them, in their eyes you eventually become boring. Not because you changed, but because in their empty inner world, familiarity equals loss of value. They crave the new, not because the new is better, but because it gives them the illusion that they are still powerful, desirable, and wanted. So when a new source of supply appears, a co-worker, an old friend, even a stranger, the narcissist immediately resumes their usual game, seduction, promises, a technicolor future. To you, they suddenly feel distant, cold, and unpredictable. In reality, their gaze has shifted to another stage. But replacing you is never enough to protect their fragile ego. If they simply walked away, it would imply you once mattered. A narcissist won't tolerate that truth. So the next stage inevitably appears, devaluation. You'll notice they begin to badmouth you behind your back, telling others you're controlling, selfish, cold, even toxic. They paint you as pathetic so they can play the wounded victim. This is a defense mechanism, tear you down to prop themselves up. They must destroy your image in others' eyes and in their own to justify the betrayal. They need to believe leaving you was right, that they are innocent, that you are the problem. In this way, they keep their ego from shattering. Many victims say, the worst part wasn't that they left, it was how they smeared me afterward. Exactly because that devaluation is not only a lie, it's a second betrayal, a betrayal of your shared history. Understand, their devaluation doesn't reflect your worth. It exposes their fear and insecurity. Then, when the new supply no longer satisfies, and this always happens, the loop reaches stage 3, return. No source of supply can keep a narcissist full for long. The black hole inside devours everything. Sooner or later, the new source becomes boring, flawed, not enough. That's when they look back to where you once stood. Do not be fooled. They don't return out of love or because they've recognized your true value. They return because they're out of options. When the new supply stops working, when the thrill fades and the emptiness resurfaces, they remember you as someone who once gave them energy, attention, admiration. They come back to be fed, not to give love. When they reappear, they won't admit the truth. They won't say, "I betrayed you. I was wrong." Instead, they deploy familiar tactics, revive sweet memories, make new promises, even feign remorse. Look closely and you'll see the difference. There is calculation, not love, in their eyes. Manipulation, not repentance, in their words. They're back not because you matter, but because they can't tolerate the void when the new supply has run dry. This cycle can repeat endlessly, replacing you with someone else, devaluing you to protect their ego, then returning when they're empty again. Each loop carves deeper wounds, eroding trust, injuring self-respect, draining your spirit. The longer you stay, the tighter the spiral binds you. What you must see is this: a narcissist's return is never evidence of love. It is a sign of deprivation, fear of loneliness, and an unmet addiction to supply. If you believe they return because they care, you'll hand them another chance and the cycle restarts. But if you face the truth, you'll see clearly they come back only because they ran out of choices. That truth may sting, but it's also the key to freedom. Once you understand the logic of replace, devalue, return, you stop self-torment and abandon false hope. You'll know that real love never comes with constant replacement, back-channel smearing, or returns only when no one else is available. Real love isn't a spiral, it's a straight path where two people choose each other every day. A narcissist cannot offer that path. They can only offer an endless whirlpool. The choice is yours. Continue being pulled under or step out to find a love that doesn't replace you, doesn't devalue you, and never returns only because it ran out of options. Part 8. The truth about the new supply's short-lived high. When a narcissist leaves you, they often go with a victorious smile. In their eyes, you've become boring, while the new supply gleams like morning sunlight. They boast and flaunt, eager to prove their life is better now, that they've finally found true love. Many victims watch in pain and wonder, am I really inferior? Did they never love me, and is the new person more worthy? In reality, what you're seeing is a short-term high. The new supply is not a soulmate, not the one, and certainly not destiny. The new supply is merely the next iteration in the narcissist's endless loop, the cycle of idealize, love bomb, exploit, devalue, replace. Picture the narcissist as an addict. When the old dose no longer delivers a hit, they need a new one. You once were that dose. You excited them, made them feel powerful, fed an ego that craves admiration. Over time, the dose lost potency not because you changed, but because addiction makes every source go bland. So they turn to someone else. With the new supply, the old script plays again, only the audience has changed. At first, the new supply gets love-bombed, honeyed words, over-the-top attention, grand promises. The narcissist paints a dazzling future, as if they've finally found their other half. The newcomer sinks into the illusion, convinced they are the exception, the special one who will heal the narcissist. That is the most toxic bait, the belief in being unique. Time soon exposes the truth. As the freshness fades, the new supply enters the exploitation phase. Absurd demands appear. I need you with me all the time. Prove your love. I don't want you talking to this person or that one. Criticisms creep in. You're too sensitive. You never understand me. You disappoint me. Crowned at first as a queen or prince, they're gradually dragged down into the role of servant to an endless ego. Eventually, the new supply realizes, this isn't love, it's a trap. By then, they're bound by a trauma bond. They're stuck in the cycle of idealize, devalue, intermittent reward, devalue again, unable to tell what's real. They become who you once were thinking, that if they just try harder and sacrifice more, love will return. the harsh truth. The new supply will meet the same fate you did. The problem was never you, nor is it them. The problem is the black hole in the narcissist's soul, one that can never be filled. No one is ever enough. No one can keep novelty alive forever. Thus, every supply is just a new pair of shoes. At first they gleam and boost confidence. With wear, any pair becomes scuffed. When that happens, the narcissist tosses them aside and looks for another. So replacement doesn't happen because the new person is better. It's because the narcissist always needs new. The new person isn't an exception, only the next version. This proves their betrayal doesn't define your value. If you're no longer enough for them, soon the new person won't be either. In truth, the narcissist's flaunting of a new partner is a performance. They want you to hurt, to envy, to believe you've lost. If you stay clear-eyed, you'll see. They haven't found love. They found a new stage to rerun an old play. And that stage will eventually collapse. What should you do? Don't fall into the comparison trap. Don't torture yourself with, what do they have that I don't? The answer is always nothing. The only advantage the new person has is that they haven't lived through the cycle yet. Give it time, they'll see the same face you did. This leads to a crucial truth. They are never truly happy with the new supply. Real happiness requires honesty, respect, and attachment. 3 things a narcissist doesn't practice. What you see online, the smiles, the public declarations, is theater. Behind closed doors, the new supply is slowly experiencing what you once endured. Remember, they didn't replace you because you were lacking, but because in their eyes all people are tools, and every tool has a shelf life. That is the truth about the new supply. A short-lived high, a shiny pair of shoes that will wear out, a temporary stage that must eventually close. And when that stage collapses, they'll hunt for yet another supply or circle back to you if your door is still open. If you're wise, you won't wait for their return to see the truth. You recognize now that they haven't found real love, they're just perpetuating an endless loop. Part 9. The Panic in Silence. Why no contact terrifies a narcissist. In every confrontation with a narcissist, there is one strategy they never expect and cannot bear: absolute silence. In their warped logic, you exist to orbit them, to react, to suffer, to beg, to feel jealous, to prove they matter. They can tolerate you raging, swearing, crying, even storming out so long as you still react. But when you choose silence, choose no contact, you don't just leave the game, you destroy the very foundation of the power they live on. Picture this. The narcissist is like an addict, and the drug is supply your attention, reactions, admiration, even your resentment. Any energy from you is fuel. Anger is fuel. Tears are fuel. A single accusatory text is fuel. As long as you feed them energy, they feel they exist. But when you cut them off completely, when you disappear into silence, they're like an addict deprived of a fix. That's when true panic sets in. At first, the narcissist won't believe your silence. They assume it's a tactic, that you're sulking, that sooner or later you'll cave. They smirk, brimming with confidence. She can't live without me. He'll text back. As the days of silence stretch on, the smirk fades. Anxiety creeps in. In their distorted mind, silence equals loss of control, and losing control is the ultimate fear. You can imagine their psychology. First, they flaunt the new supply, post happy photos, try to provoke you. When you still don't react, they feel thwarted. Next, they send probing messages, even something minimal, an emoji, a dangling question. You okay? That's not concern. It's a test. Is anyone still on the other end? When you remain silent, their worry grows. Then the panic phase hits, and they try everything. Playing the victim, I miss you, I was wrong. The repentant, I can't live without you. Or turning hostile, you're heartless, you never loved me. All share one goal, to make you respond. Because any response, cold or furious, reassures them that their power remains. But absolute silence is what terrifies them most. Silence sends a message louder than words. You no longer exist in my world. You no longer control my heart. I choose peace over your game. For a narcissist, this is the most humiliating defeat. Why is no contact so powerful? Because it strikes at their two core weaknesses, a fragile ego and inner emptiness. Without you as a mirror, their ego wobbles. Without your supply, the void inside gapes open. They are forced to face a truth they can't bear. They are not as important as they imagined. You go on living, breathing, and walking without them. For someone who survives on the illusion of being the center, this truth hurts more than any insult. Some narcissists react to no contact with extreme smearing you, spreading lies, even trying to reach you through friends or family. Don't mistake this for love. It's withdrawal. They're like an addict clawing for a fix. Their panic exposes the reality. They are not strong or invincible. They are hollow, trembling before your silence. Remember, silence is not passivity. It is a powerful, deliberate act. It is a declaration that you choose yourself, that you refuse to play the puppet in a toxic drama. Silence is the space where you heal, hear your own voice again, and reclaim the energy that was drained for so long. Many survivors say the early stage of no contact is the hardest. The longing, the urge to explain, to be acknowledged, to get closure can gnaw at you. Be patient. Every day you hold the line is a day you take your power back. Every text you don't send, every call you don't answer, is one step closer to freedom. And know this, your silence doesn't just panic the narcissist, it strengthens you. Each time you choose silence, you affirm, my value is not defined by someone else's gaze. I don't need the validation of a person who cannot love. I am enough even on my own. When you stand firm in no contact, something remarkable happens. The pain eases, the wounds begin to close, and a new peace takes root. That is what the narcissist never wanted you to have, peace that does not depend on them. And that peace is your greatest victory. So when the narcissist panics in the face of your silence, don't soften. Understand that their panic is not proof of love. It is proof that you've removed the drug they were addicted to. Let them wrestle with their inner black hole while you walk toward the light. Part 10. The narcissist's deep fear of being replaced. On the surface, narcissists can look unbeatable in love games. They cheat without blinking, swap you out in a flash, and seem to find new supply with ease. They stride away, leaving a broken heart behind and a counterfeit confidence that they are endlessly desired. But behind that mask lies a truth they can't face, a terror of being replaced. Here's the paradox. They repeatedly betray you and treat you as replaceable, yet they tremble at the thought that you might find happiness without them. In a narcissist's distorted worldview, they are the center of the universe. They believe you exist to orbit them, forever trapped in love, pain, and memories of them. That's why they dare to leave, convinced you will never break free. But when reality disproves the script, when you stand firm, when you smile again, when you find joy in yourself, or with someone new, their illusion of invincibility collapses. Where does this fear come from? From the fragility of their ego. Though it swells outward in arrogance, inside it is empty and steeped in shame. A narcissist does not truly believe they are worthy of being loved sincerely. They only believe they can keep you through power and manipulation. Once that power is gone, once you stop fearing loss and can leave without looking back, the terrifying truth appears. They were never irreplaceable. They were merely a painful chapter in your past. That is their worst fear. Being erased from your life story, replaced by a new chapter in which they have no place. Notice how, after leaving you, they often flaunt happiness with a new supply. But why the display? If they were truly happy, they wouldn't need you to see it. The flaunting is a way of saying, I still matter, look at me, see how well I'm doing. Deep down, the fear of being replaced drives an obsession with appearing undefeated. When they sense you moving on, when you're silent, unreactive, or worse, visibly content without them, they spiral into panic. They may boomerang back, not out of love, but to check. Do I still have power? Am I still remembered? If you react, they exhale. Good, I'm not replaced yet. If you remain calm and quiet, or if you found new happiness, it's an ego death for them. This fear also shows up in their smearing after the breakup. They must degrade and slander you to reassure themselves that you weren't good enough, that you'll never find anyone better. It's a defense mechanism. Rather than accept that you could be loved by someone kinder, they deny it and cast you as the loser. But deep down, they are the ones who are afraid. The irony is stark. Narcissists betray out of fear of boredom, yet they fear betrayal more than anyone. They boast that they can replace you at will, yet obsess over the possibility that you might replace them. They flaunt a new supply, then secretly stalk you, even beg to return if they see you truly moving on. This terror of being replaced reveals their true nature. Not strong, not invincible, but fragile souls surviving on others' reflections. When you stop reflecting them, when you give that reflection back to yourself or to someone worthy, you pierce their deepest fear. That's why you should not despair when they find a new supply. That joy is short-lived, and the newcomer will become the previous version soon enough. Meanwhile, one fear will haunt the narcissist endlessly, that you will find genuine happiness while they remain trapped in their loop. So instead of fearing that they will replace you, understand that they are the ones terrified of being replaced. See them clearly, weak beings hiding behind a mask of power. Let your calm, your confidence, and your rebirth be the loudest answer. Because when you stand tall, smile, and move forward, you don't just free yourself, you force the narcissist to face their greatest horror, the truth that they were never irreplaceable. Part 11. The philosophical meaning of betrayal, turning darkness into light. When a narcissist betrays you, it can feel as if the entire world collapses. The pain doesn't come only from one person's deceit, but from the shattering of trust, from the sense that every value you once believed in has been trampled. Look deeper, though, and betrayal is not merely an ending. On a philosophical level, it can be a revelation, a doorway to truths you had never dared to face. Carl Jung once said, "There can be no light without darkness." In the darkness of betrayal, you finally see the narcissist's true nature. When the mask falls, you're no longer hypnotized by sweet promises or seductive gestures. You see the emptiness, the falseness, the cruelty, and from there, you are forced to look back at yourself. Why did I stay so long? What did I trade away? In what ways did I abandon myself in this relationship? This is the philosophical meaning of betrayal. It forces you to awaken. Before, you may have lived in the illusion that love could heal them, that your sacrifice could change them, that patience would one day be rewarded. Betrayal severs that illusory thread. It hurts, but it also liberates. It exposes a truth. Real love never needs to beg, never coexists with lies, and never makes you feel small or unworthy. Without betrayal, you might still be there trying harder, giving more, quietly destroying yourself for a fragile hope. Betrayal is like a blade cutting the rope that tied you to illusion. From that moment, you can choose, cling to the pain, or step out and be reborn. See betrayal as a necessary darkness, like the night before dawn. In the night, you are lost, but in that same darkness, new stars appear. Those stars are your latent strengths, powers you never knew you had. The strength to leave, to be silent, to heal, to rise and choose yourself. Jung calls this the journey of facing the shadow. The narcissist is a mirror reflecting your own shadow. Fear of abandonment, hunger for validation, the compulsion to save others. They touched those tender spots and exploited them. But once you look straight into that darkness, you are no longer a victim. You begin to understand. The shadow is not for avoidance, but for integration, so you can learn to love yourself and see clearly the boundary between compassion and self-destruction. Thus, betrayal is not only a wound, it is an invitation to spiritual maturity. You learn to distinguish true love from manipulation. You learn to love yourself enough not to accept cheap love. You learn to choose silence over pointless argument, to walk away instead of clinging. Most importantly, you learn to place yourself at the center of your own life rather than orbiting someone who never knew how to value you. In Eastern philosophy, suffering is called the greatest teacher. So it is with a narcissist betrayal. It teaches lessons. No book can fully convey lessons about boundaries, self-worth, and inner freedom. It compels you to pause, reflect, and reshape your life. From that breaking, a new version of you begins to take form. You may think, I don't want this rebirth. I only wanted peaceful love. True, no one wishes for betrayal, but the truth is this: without that shock, you might never awaken. Sometimes life must use great pain to pull you off the wrong path. Betrayal is that awakening slap. So see betrayal not only as loss, but as a threshold. The threshold between a manipulated past and a free future. Between living under someone else's shadow and lighting your own torch. Between being a victim and becoming reborn. The philosophical meaning of betrayal lies here. It grants you a chance to face the truth, and with it a choice. If you dare to seize that choice, you transform darkness into light, pain into wisdom, betrayal into a homecoming to your true self. In the end, what matters is not what the narcissist did to you, but what you learned from it. If you emerge with a hardened, bitter heart, you remain in their prison. If you step out with understanding, maturity, and peace, you are truly free. Part 12. The path of healing and rebirth after betrayal. At the far edge of betrayal, you may believe your heart has died, that you'll never love again, that your trust is gone for good. Yet precisely in that moment, when you think all is over, a new door opens. This is the path of healing, the journey that carries you from the ashes of a toxic love to the rebirth of a new self, stronger, wiser, and freer. The first step is to recognize your pain and allow yourself to feel it. Many people, after betrayal, try to be strong too soon. I'm fine. It's nothing. But your heart knows the truth. You are hurt. You have lost. You gave your whole world and received betrayal in return. So let yourself cry, let yourself ache, let yourself fall apart. That is not weakness, it is honesty. And honesty is the foundation of healing. Second, you must break the toxic loop, no contact. You cannot heal while still entangled with the one who wounded you. Every text, every glimpse, every conversation is a fresh twist of the knife. Block the channels, stop checking, stop searching. It is hard but necessary. No contact is not only distance from them, it is the space you give yourself to breathe, to hear your inner voice, to reclaim the energy that was drained. Next, rebuild your self-worth. One of the most poisonous legacies of a relationship with a narcissist is forgetting your true value. You may have believed you were not enough, that if you loved more, gave more, endured more, you would be cherished. The truth is the opposite. You were already enough. Your value does not flow from a narcissist's approval. It rises from your very being. Tell yourself each day, I deserve love. I deserve respect. I don't have to become someone else to be worthy. Healing also requires support. Don't go it alone. Turn to trusted friends, family, or a therapist. Find communities where stories are shared, where you feel less alone, where you can say, if they made it through, I can too. Being heard and understood is a balm for the deepest wounds. A crucial part is learning to love yourself again. After so long revolving around a narcissist, you've neglected you. You forgot small pleasures, simple joys, the moments you smiled with no one else around. Gently rediscover them. A good book, a piece of music, a short trip, a quiet cup of coffee. Treat yourself like a dear friend, a child to be soothed, a love to be tended. Self-love is not selfish. It is the foundation that prevents you from ever falling into a narcissist's hands again. On this path, you'll also learn the art of forgiveness, but not forgiveness for the narcissist, forgiveness for yourself. Forgive yourself for being blind, for being deceived, for staying too long. Forgive yourself for not knowing how to protect your heart sooner. Forgive to free your heart from the burden of self-blame. Only then can you move forward, unchained from the past. Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. A narcissist betrayal is that pain, yet it is also the door to awakening. Healing is not merely leaving a relationship. It is returning to the truth of who you are. Remember, you are not leaving to prove you're stronger than them. You leave because you choose peace. You are not healing, so they'll one day recognize your worth. You heal because your worth has always been there, and you choose to live fully in it. The road of rebirth after betrayal is a road of light, the light that appears when you dare to step out of the dark. Every step, however small, testifies that you have prevailed over pain, over illusion, and over the weaker parts within. One day, you will look back and realize betrayal was not a period, it was a hyphen. It linked your former self wounded, dependent, manipulated to your new self free, strong, radiant. And then you will smile, not because you've forgotten the pain, but because from that pain a new you was born. Part 13. Your happiness, a narcissist's greatest obsession. While you're still in a narcissist's grasp, they do everything they can to suffocate your joy. A smile, a success, a moment of happiness, each is twisted into something negative. If you're praised at work, they'll say you were lucky, not skilled. If you laugh with friends, they'll grow jealous and accuse you. If you take time for yourself, they'll call you selfish. In their distorted psychology, you're only allowed to be happy when that happiness originates from them, belongs to them, and serves their ego. But once you break free, once you heal and begin to smile again in ways that have nothing to do with them, that becomes the narcissist's worst nightmare. In that moment, they're forced to face the truth they've tried to hide. You can live without them. Imagine it. For an ego that believes it is the center of the universe, your finding happiness beyond them is a frontal collision. It doesn't only irritate them, it shakes the foundations of an already fragile self. Narcissists need your suffering to feel powerful. They need your dependence to feel important. They need your failure to feel superior. When you are happy, all those pillars collapse. In their eyes, your happiness is the ultimate betrayal. It proves that everything they planted in you, the lie that you're not enough, that you can't live without them, was only an illusion. Every smile you wear, every success you earn, every step you take forward is a slap to that illusion of power. So nothing obsesses a narcissist more than seeing you stand steady, serene, even radiant after leaving them. You don't need revenge, you don't need to prove anything. Your happiness, by itself, is the most beautiful revenge. When you're happy, narcissists tend to react in two opposite ways. They smear you, or they try to come back. They smear you, telling others your happiness is fake, that you're just pretending to be strong. They do this not because they know the truth, but because they can't stand the sight of your radiance. They must diminish you to soothe their ego, or they try to return not out of love, but to test whether they still have a foothold in your new world. A text, a call, a hazy promise, everything is aimed at restoring the power they lost. Behind both reactions lies the same thing: fear of your happiness. Here's the paradox. They pushed you into darkness, yet when you find the light, they feel defeated. They wanted you trapped, dependent, and in pain. Instead, through resilience, you did the opposite. You turned pain into strength and betrayal into rebirth. Your happiness is therefore not just a personal achievement, it is a powerful declaration. I am no longer defined by the one who hurt me. I no longer live in a spiral of lies. I have chosen a new path where I am at the center, where I am truly loved. Jung emphasized, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your journey through betrayal has made your inner darkness conscious. And when you emerge, your happiness is no longer fragile, it is a durable light tempered by suffering. A narcissist will never understand this. To them, happiness is short-lived conquest, admiring glances, and winning power games. They do not know the simple joy of a peaceful heart. That is why your happiness obsesses them all the more, because you possess what they can never touch. Your happiness doesn't have to be loud. It can be a morning breath drawn deep in freedom, an afternoon coffee sipped with no fear of a controlling text, a new friendship, a new love where you are genuinely cherished. Each of these moments is a victory, and each small victory becomes a great obsession for the narcissist, because in the end, nothing frightens them more than this truth. They no longer have any power over you. Conclusion. Looking back on the entire journey with a narcissist, It can resemble a devastating storm. You were swept up, battered, dragged under until you had no strength left. You loved with all you had, trusted with your whole heart, sacrificed until you lost yourself. In return, you received betrayal, deception, psychological abuse, and long, aching pain. It's a reality no one wants, yet one many have faced. What matters more than the losses, though, is how you step out of the storm. Betrayal can shatter you, but it can also mark the beginning of rebirth. In your deepest pain, you learned the greatest lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and the value of peace. A narcissist may believe they won when they left you, when they found new supply, when they smeared you, when they imagined you would stay trapped in misery. But the final victory is not theirs. It is yours because you had the courage to face the truth, to break the toxic loop, and to choose the path of healing. You are no longer a victim. You are a survivor. More than that, you are becoming reborn. Someone who knows how to love themselves, who sets boundaries, who distinguishes genuine love from manipulation. Someone who understands that happiness is not held in another's hand, but in your own choices. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." You are not the betrayal a narcissist inflicted. You are not the lies, not the wounds. You are the courageous choice to walk out, to be reborn, to become the strongest version of yourself. Believe this, the road ahead is no longer shrouded in darkness. You've learned to recognize the dark, and because of that, your inner light shines brighter. You were knocked down, but you rose. And in that rising lies a strength no narcissist can ever touch. So if you are hearing these words in pain, remember, betrayal is not a period. It is a semicolon, a pause to breathe, to reflect, to begin a new chapter. And that chapter will no longer revolve around the narcissist. It will revolve around you, the person who deserves love, respect, and a peaceful life. Do not fear. Do not regret. Do not look back. The healing path may be long and tearful, but at its end is light. And that light is you renewed, radiant, free. Walk forward with this conviction. True happiness never lies in a narcissist's hands. True happiness waits ahead where you choose yourself.